Shall we start the lecture? Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Then shall we start the lecture?
Yes, sir. Sure, sure.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start
Good
now.
evening. Good evening, everybody. Today we are going to discuss industrial safety and occupational health. My name is, I am Dr. Engineer Udeni Vikramasinghe. I graduated from the University of Sri Lanka, Peradeniya campus in 1978 in mechanical engineering. After that, I worked so many places. I started my career at the Sri Lanka Sugar Corporation, Kantale, as a mechanical engineer. Then I came to Government Factory Kolonnawa in 1980 and worked in so many places. Later, I worked as the additional secretary technical in the Ministry of Defense in 2006. And after that, I worked as the Cabinet Ministry Secretary of the Ministry of Agrarian Services and Wildlife. Then retired from the government service in 2015 January. Then after that, I worked some consultancy. I did some consultancy work, and in 2021, I was appointed as the chairman of the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission under the Ministry of Education and retired recently, 2024, October 1st, I retired. Right. Then we'll start the lecture now. Introduction. Legislation to ensure safety and health of workers in Sri Lanka was first introduced in 1942 with the enactment of the Factories Ordinance number 45. කර්මාන්තශාලා ආඥා පනත කියන එක අංක 45 එක 1942 තමයි නීතිගත වුණේ. This ordinance was revised by the Factories Amendment Act number 54 of 1961 and again Factories Amendment Law number 12 of 1976 දෙපාරක් සංශෝධනය වුණා 1961 සහ ඊට පස්සේ 1976 ඊට පස්සෙත් සංශෝධන කීපයක් වුණා ඒක ඉතින් ඔක්කොම විස්තර කරන්න අමාරුයි. This lecture covers some important aspects of the Factories Ordinance. කර්මාන්තශාලා ආඥා පනතේ වැදගත් කොටස් අපට අවශ්‍ය වෙන කොටස් සාකච්ඡා කරමු. It should be read in conjunction with the Factories Ordinance and related regulations issued from time to time. There are so many regulations issued under the Factories Ordinance. Later, at the end of the lecture, I will explain from time to time regulations were issued. Scope. As the title suggests, this law given coverage only to factory workers. Workers in other establishments such as shops, offices, etc. are excluded. This manifests as an injustice to non-factory workers since safety and health is as vital to them. This injustice has been rectified in many other countries by extending the coverage to all employees except perhaps to domestic servants in private employment. The law applies to factories belonging to private, public, and corporation sector. The all factories coming under government, public, then private and corporation sectors. So this factories ordinance will cover. So therefore we will see what is the definition of the term factory, how it defines the term factory in the factories ordinance. The factories ordinance defines the term factory differently to the common man's concept of a factory. In terms of the definition, the following conditions have to be fulfilled for an establishment to be legally considered a factory. කර්මාන්ත ශාලාව කියන එක කොහොමද අර්ථ දක්වලා තියෙන එක කියන එක තමයි අපි දැන් බලන්න ඕන මොන විදියටද කියලා. So, number 1, it should be situated in a premises. Number 1 condition. Then number 2, persons or one person, at least one person should be employed. Number 3, in manual labor. Number 4, for making of an article or part of an article or altering, repairing, ornamenting, finishing, cleaning, or washing, or breaking up or demolition, or adapting for sale of any article. So you can, the making of an article or part of an article, or altering, වෙනස් කරන එක, repairing, අලුත් වැඩියා කරන එක, ornamenting, තව වැඩි දියුණු කරන එක, finishing, ඉවර කරන එක, cleaning or washing, or breaking up or demolition or adapting for sale of any article. Number 5, work should be carried out by way of trade or for purposes of gain. යම්සි ලාභයක් ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා විකිණීම පිණිස. The employer should have the right of access to and or control of the premises. So under the factories ordinance, that is how they defined the term factory. The employer, the owner of the organization, the in charge officer.
You are from Premium Internet, right? I saw the model. I don't know, but I saw the
In addition to the above,
right?
in addition to above, the following are some of the premises which are deemed to be factories under the law, although they do not conform to the above definition. There are some special situations where it can cover under the term of factory. Number 1, any yard or dry dock in which ships or vessels are constructed, reconstructed, repaired, refitted, finished, or broken off. So these places also can be considered as a factory. Then B, any laundry carried on as an ancillary to another business or public institutions. C, any premises where making or mending of nets is carried out incidental to the fishing industry. Then any premises used for storage of gas in a gas holder having a capacity of not less than 5,000 cubic feet. Certain building and other construction works. Purpose of the law. The purpose of the law is to provide safety, health, and welfare to persons employed in premises to which the law applies. Safety means the provision of an accident-free working environment. Health means the prevention among works of disability and disease arising out of environmental factors, processes, and materials used. Welfare refers to the provision of minimum facilities, such as toilets, drinking water, washing facilities, and meal room to workers. Important safety requirements. There are some important conditions laid out in the Factories Ordinance, especially guarding of machinery. Guarding of factory machinery occupies an important place among safety requirements. 3 sections of the ordinance are devoted for this purpose. There are 3 sections specially devoted for guarding of factory machinery. First one, under Section 17. Section 17 of the Factories Ordinance, it is required that all moving parts of the prime mover, the source that provides the movement, should be securely fenced or securely guarded. It comes under the Section 17. Then Section 18, it is required that all parts of transmission machinery, such as belts, shafts, chains, tooth wheels, etc., should be securely fenced. So all parts of transmission machinery, belts, shafts, chains, tooth wheels, should be securely fenced. It comes under the Section 18 of the Factories Ordinance. Then it comes to Section 19 of the ordinance, where it is mentioned that it is required that all dangerous parts of other machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons employed or working in the factory premises. We have defined the factory, so all persons employed or working in the factory premises. All moving and dangerous parts of machinery should be securely fenced so as to be safe to all persons employed. The term dangerous part has not been defined in the ordinance. And the only guidance in this regard appears in case law, which interprets dangerous part as dangerous part is defined as a part of a machine is said to be dangerous if it is reasonably foreseeable cause of injury to any person acting in a manner reasonably expected of a human being to act in circumstances that may reasonably expected to occur. That is how it is defined. However, if a dangerous part of any machine cannot by reason of the nature of the operation be secured by means of a fixed guard, the requirement of fencing is deemed to have been complied with if a device is provided which automatically prevents operator coming into contact with that part. There are some disturbances. Hello. A woman or a young person between 14 and 18 should not be permitted to clean any machine while it is in motion. So that's very important under the regulations. It is mentioned. A woman or a young person between 14 and 18 should not be permitted to clean any machine while it is in motion. Then, in the factories ordinance, there's another section indicating the lifting equipment where hoists, lifts, chains, ropes, and lifting tackle. So, under the lifting equipment should be periodically examined by a competent person. So, under this competent person who has a lot of experience in handling safety and other activities, so these competent persons will be appointed by the Factories Division of the Department of Labor. I will mention about the Factories Division later. So the senior, as you all are engineers, with the experience, you can Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry for disturbance. These competent persons will be appointed by the Department of Labor, conducting an interview. So as you all are engineers, you all can apply to get the competent person with the experience. Hoists and lifts should be thoroughly examined once in every 12 months. So under the ordinance, it says these hoists and lifts should be examined by the competent person once in every 12 months.
Screen was not shared.
Hello? Huh?
Presentation is not shared.
Oh, right. Sorry, I will just some failure. Excuse me. We need to share. Now it is okay. Can you see the screen?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It is lifting equipment now. Hoists, lifts, chains, ropes, and lifting tackle. Okay. Now it's okay.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Hoists and lifts should be thoroughly examined once in every 12 months. Whereas chains, ropes, and other lifting tackle should be so examined once in every 6 months. So chain, ropes, and other lifting tackle should be examined in every 6 months by a competent person. Then hoists. Every hoist or lift shall be of good mechanical construction, sound material, and adequate strength. Safety weight has to be indicated in the hoist. If it is to be used to carry people, safe entrance and exit method shall be available. That's very important if the hoists are carrying people. Safety locking mechanism for doors should be installed. So these are the conditions laid down in the factories ordinance under the hoist. So it is under section 27 of the factories ordinance. Then it comes to chain, rope, and lifting tackle. No chain or lifting tackle shall be used unless it is of good construction, sound material, adequate strength. That is very important. No chain, rope, or lifting tackle shall be used for any load exceeding the safe working load. So the safe, you can't exceed the safe working load. And it should be checked every 6 months again by the competent persons appointed by the Department of Labor. Once in 6 months, it has to be checked and certified. All these sections coming under section 28 of the Factories Ordinance. Then we will come to pressure vessels. Safe pressure has to be indicated in the vessel. Safety valve should be installed to the vessel. That's very important. Safety valve should be installed. Pressure gauge has to be fitted to the pressure vessel. Testing hole to be provided to inspect the inside of the vessel and for cleaning purposes. Test for pressure vessels. So these are the conditions for testing of pressure vessels. For steel or non-ferrous pressure vessel, the testing pressure P should be 1.5 into maximum allowable working pressure. So it should be checked 1.5 times of the maximum allowable working pressure. For cast iron pressure vessel, in case of maximum allowable working pressure is less than 1 kilogram per centimeter squared, P should be 2 kilograms, twice of the maximum allowable working pressure. In case of MAWP greater than 1 kilogram, again, it should be 2 times of the maximum allowable working pressure. Boilers, air receivers, and other pressure wells. Again, under the ordinance, these are the conditions to be followed. These vessels should be examined periodically by an authorized person. Again, this competent person appointed by the Factories Division of the Department of Labor, experienced person in this area, in accordance with the following time schedule. So, boilers, you have to test once in every 12 months. Every year you have to check. Gas receivers, once in every 12 months. Air receivers, once in every 12 months. 24 months. Once in every 24 months. Steam receivers, again, once in every 24 months. These vessels should have pressure gauges, safety valves, they are very important, draining devices, etc. attached to the equipment. So here you can see the cross-section of a fire tube boiler. It indicates the important parts of a cross-section. In any boiler catalog or magazine, you can see more details. It's a rough sketch of a fire tube boiler where you can see the blow down valve වතුර සහ අපද්‍රව්‍ය පිට කරන බටය, then smoke box දුම් පෙට්ටිය, then ගිනි බට හරහා යනවා fire. ඊට පස්සේ වතුර ඔයගොල්ලෝ පේනවා මේකේ ඔක්කොම විස්තර. වතුර water gauge එක තියෙනවා. බොයිලරේට වතුර සපයන බටය, water feed valve, දුම් චිමිනිය, උඩ තියෙනවා වාෂ්ප පිටවන බටය. ඒදී වාෂ්ප නවත්තන ස්ටොප් වැල්ව් එක, පීඩන මාපකයේ ප්‍රෙෂර් ගේජ් එක, මෑන් හෝල් එකක් තියෙනවා. මෑන් හෝල් එකෙන් ශුද්ධ පවිත්‍ර කරන්න ඒවට මේක මේ rough sketch එකක්. This is rough sketch. You can see any boiler textbook. You can see different kinds of fire tube boilers. My handout I will share, give it to the IESL so that they will put it into the YouTube, I think. So you all can get the complete slide set. Under the Factories Ordinance 1942, number 45, if a boiler is transported, typing error, is transported or shifted to another place, it should be tested and certified. There are cases that the boilers have to be transported from one place to another place. So when it is shifted to a new place, again, the boiler has to be tested by a competent person and certified. Or after major repairs, tested and certified on completion. That is very important in case of a boiler. Steam boiler attendance certificate of competence. So boiler attendants, they have to get a certificate of competence, indicating that they have experience of doing the boiler work. The factory's regulations. So under this section, the factory's regulations were issued in 1965 and published in Ceylon Government Gazette. As I mentioned earlier, from time to time, these regulations are issued according to the cases. So this boiler attendance situation, they issued 14,495 Government Gazette in September 1965, 3rd of September, laid down the conditions for the boiler operators. So the boiler operator, it gives the details. There are 3 classes, class 3, class 2, and class 1. Here in this slide, it is indicated class 3, up to a steaming capacity of 2,000 pounds per hour. Steam generation capacity 2,000 pounds per hour. Up to 2,000, class 3 boiler attendance certificate, and 1 year experience as a foreman or assistant to a certificate boiler attendant. Then class 2. Class 2, up to steaming capacity of 6,000 pounds per hour. Must have 3 years experience in attending to boiler. These are in addition to conditions for class 3. So class 3 experience plus another 3 years experience in attending to boiler, and steaming capacity is 6,000, up to steaming capacity of 6,000 pounds per hour. Then class 1, up to steaming capacity above 6,000 pounds, above 6,000 pounds per hour. So we have to employ class 1 operator, must have 6 years experience in attending to boilers. This is in addition to conditions stated for class 2. Then class 2, 3 years, class 1, again, plus 3 years, then after that, another 6 years experience to get the class 1 certificate. Boiler explosion courses. These are the courses. Inoperative safety valve. These are the these 7 boiler explosion causes. Inoperative safety valve, number 1. Number 2, low water in the boiler. So we have to be very careful about the water level of the boiler. Scale deposits too high. So from time to time, these scale deposits have to be removed during the maintenance work. So if these deposits are too high, too thick, again, we have to be very careful and we have to do the maintenance work. Oil in the boiler water. Corroded or thinner part of plates, boiler plates, corroded or thinner part. Then cracks in the boiler, improper repairs. Safety valve could be adjusted plus 10% of the market pressure. Safety valve, we have to adjust it or 10% more than of the market pressure. Boiler operators notes. Number 1, test safety valve monthly for its good performance. Blow down frequently to clean interior of the boiler. As I mentioned the previous slide, the deposits. See the deposits and you have to clean the deposits. See adequate lights are there at the switchboard, panel board, water gauge, pressure gauge, temperature meters, and all other important places. Number 4, do not depend on fully automatic devices because sometimes they may fail. Test all automatic devices periodically, as I mentioned in the testing of boilers, pressure vessels, and other things. Clean the boiler and keep it neat. Check the flame and flue gases at the chimney. It should be light brown color. Check temperature, stack chimney. Check the feed water levels you have to check. Clean filters periodically. When switching off the boiler, water at maximum level. These are the important cases to be considered. Essential features of a good boiler. The boiler should be light in weight, compact, and should use less space. Number 2, it should allow easy, cheap, and quick maintenance. Number 3, it should be capable for starting very quickly. Number 4, it should be capable of accommodating large variation of loads. In a boiler, the velocity of water and flue gas should be minimized after they overcome heavy frictional losses. All the joints and fittings of a boiler should be easily accessible. Water scaling and soot should not collect in and on its tubes. Safe means of access and safe place of employment. Safe means of access to the place of work should be provided and maintained. If a person is liable to fall from a height of more than 6 feet, means should be provided to ensure his safety, such as by the provision of safety belts and nets. So if a person is working at a height more than 6 feet, අඩි 6කට උඩින් වැඩ කරනවා නම්, so these safety precautions have to be taken. Safety belts, nets, etc. Especially in construction sites. No person should be permitted to enter a confined space unless steps are taken to remove any fumes, toxic or irrespirable gases. Persons entering such spaces should wear breathing apparatus, and be provided with a lifeline. පතල් වල වැඩ කරන වෙලාවට we have to be very careful about these confined spaces. ඒවට ඒ විධිවිධාන සලස්ස ගන්න ඕන. විස වායු ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. විනිරන් පතල් වල වගේ පතල් වල වැඩ කරන. Then occupational health. Close relationship exists between man's work and his health. It is possible to recognize 4 important relationships. Work can give rise to diseases. Work can exacerbate existing diseases. Then තියෙන අසනීප වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Illness may affect a worker's ability to work safely and efficiently. Therefore, work promotes health. Many diseases arise from exposure of workers to various environmental hazards, physical, chemical, biological, and psychological. Some diseases are made worse by certain types of work. For example, workers with chronic lung diseases, such as chronic bronchitis, experience worsening of their illness if they exposed to very dusty environment. Standing for long periods at work can aggravate existing varicose veins. හිටගෙන ඉඳන් ගොඩක් දිගට වැඩ කරනකොට varicose veins තියෙන අසනීප තියෙන කට්ටිය පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක ගැන සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න. The knowledge of the nature of work to be undertaken by a prospective employee is thus of extreme importance for placing him. So the managers, the in charge officers, as you all are engineers in charge of factories, so you have to be very careful for placing of people in various positions when they are working in a factory, particularly if he has some disability in a job best suited to him. People who suffer from certain illnesses are unsuitable for employment in certain types of work, as they may not be able to perform such jobs efficiently and safely. Such persons may not only expose themselves to danger, but may in certain situations be a danger to others. ඒකන්ද අපි පරිස්සමෙන් මේ ලෙඩ රෝග ගැන අවබෝධයක් තියෙන්න ඕන මේ සේවකයන් වැඩට යොදවනකොට. It is well known that persons suffering from red, green color blindness are unsuitable for employment as trained drivers. It's spelling mistake, not divers, drivers. And good visual acuity is essential for driving any type of vehicle. Deaf persons are unsuited for jobs where communication is important, and also in workplace where it is necessary to recognize auditory alarm signals. A pre-employment medical examination will assist in proper selection of persons and should be mandatory in work which is dangerous or unsafe. So this is very essential. We must we have to conduct pre-employment medical examination in factories before they employ in various positions of factory. Most people gain a sense of satisfaction by working. It has been observed that when work is satisfying, there is an improvement in a worker's health. මිනිස්සු සන්තෝෂයෙන් වැඩ කරනවා, එයාගේ සෞඛ්‍ය තත්ත්වයත් වැඩි දියුණු වෙනවා, මානසික සහනය හම්බ වෙනවා. Work that does not satisfy or unemployment will conversely lead to poor health. It has been found that the health of retired persons who have enjoyed good health throughout their working life deteriorate rapidly if they are not usefully employed in some activity. Certain special problems in common with other developing countries occur in Sri Lanka. What is that? Number one, in tropical countries, heat is a problem experienced in many working situations, including working outdoors. Many workers suffer from discomfort and fatigue, and some experience heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා පහුගිය කාලේ ගොඩක් රස්නේනේ. ඉතින් මේ රස්නේ කාලේ මේවා අත්දැකීම් තියෙන නැති කට්ටියටම වැඩ කරනකොට කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ඇතුලේ ඉන්නත් බෑ, එළිය වැඩ කරන්නත් බෑ. So it's a very important factor. I think we all have experienced this thing past few days. Now, of course, it has come down. The temperature is okay, but still in some places, very hot. Certain materials and processes which are found in Sri Lanka have not been adequately studied. Many vegetable dusts, such as rice husk, coconut husk, chili powder, and tea fluff, the adverse effects about which little information is available need further study. මේකනත් එච්චර අවධානය යොමු කරන්න ඕන මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉතා වැදගත් සාධකයක් vegetable dust, rice husk, coconut husk, chili powder and tea fluff. තව ගොඩක් ಜಾති තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මම මේ කෙටියෙන් මේ ගැන කිව්වේ the adverse effects should have been studied. With changing technology, modern machines and processes are introduced, replacing all technology with new. In agriculture, tractors and other machinery, as well as fertilizers and pesticides, are being used, exposing farmers to new hazards. Stone masons now use electric grinders and polishers instead of the hammer and chisel, producing fine particles of silica, which are easily inhaled. Divers are now able to use supportive gear and dive deeper, exposing themselves to greater risks. Rapid industrialization and agricultural development has brought about large-scale migrations of population, causing social dislocation, poor living conditions, and an increased incidence of communicable and social diseases. Undertrained workers are often employed in skilled jobs and experience more accidents. In order to achieve the aims of occupational health, many countries have encouraged the establishment of occupational health services for workers. In Sri Lanka, also a lot of organizations, they have introduced this system, this occupational health services for workers. Certain doctors are coming and inspecting workers in the factory, and they give advices and all that under the establishment of occupational health services. There is no legal provision in Sri Lanka to compel employers to provide occupational health services for workers. So there is no legal provision under the Factories Ordinance. It is compulsory, but anyway, in most places, in large-scale organizations, they have introduced this system. Enlightened employers, both in the public and private sector, provide well-staffed occupational health services. Some important functions of an occupational health services are described below. Placing people in suitable jobs. This activity includes pre-employment medical, as I mentioned in earlier, pre-employment medical examinations and post-sickness medical examinations to determine fitness to work. Providing treatment services, early treatment of injuries, poisoning and illness will prevent complications and assist rehabilitation. Controlling hazards in the work environment. Many hazards are already known and adequate precautions should be taken to ensure the safety of workers from being exposed to undue risks. Avoiding potential risks. This involves participation of the occupational health staff in the planning and designing stage of a new plant to ensure freedom from risks and ensuring the installation. So in the planning stage, we have to be careful about the avoiding potential risks. Supervision of vulnerable groups. These groups include the young who may need initial support during acclimatization to a new environment. අලුත් පරිසරයකට සූදානම් වෙනකොට විශේෂයෙන් young crowd එකට අපි ඒ කණ්ඩායම් හොඳට අධීක්ෂණය කරලා අවශ්‍ය උපදෙස් දෙන්න ඕන from time to time. Educating workers and management and providing counseling. It's also very important. The workplace provides excellent opportunities not only for education of workers in occupational health and safety practices, but also on general health topics. So in certain organizations, they conduct from time to time about, they engage doctors or specialized people to give lectures in general health topics to educate the workers about, and they do counseling work also regarding the occupational health activities. Supervision of sanitary and welfare facilities. That is also very important. Includes the supervision of sanitary and washing facilities. In later, at the end of the lecture, I will explain the sanitary and washing facilities details to ascertain whether adequate numbers are provided and whether they are maintained in good condition. The supervision of catering facilities as well as prevention of environmental pollution outside the workplace. Whilst the environment within the workplace is the responsibility of the occupational health staff, they should also ensure that the environment outside the workplace, the factory or the construction site. Right, we will now come to the principles of accident prevention. Accidents, definition of an accident. Any unplanned event that resulted in injury, ill health to people, or damage or loss to property, plant, material, or the environment, or a loss of business opportunity. That is how they define as the accident. Any unplanned event that resulted in injury, ill health to people, or damage or loss to property, plant, materials, or the environment, or a loss of business opportunity. Principles of accident prevention. These accident statistical studies from various studies in various places, it is indicated in average that when we face the non-injury incidents, about 300, after 300 of non-injury accidents, then minor accident will occur. Minor accident. Then minor accident, 29 minor accidents, then a major accident will occur. This is a very average figure. From time to time, this will vary. So you can get an idea how it varies the accident statistical studies. Principles of accident prevention under that topic. So the economic reasons, humanitarian reasons, and legal reasons, these three considers will be discussed now under the accident prevention. Humanitarian reasons. Nobody who goes to work wants to have an accident. අපි කවුරුත් වැඩට යන්නේ අනතුරක් වෙන්න බලාගෙන නෙමෙයි. හන්ද අපි ඒක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි අනතුරක් වෙන්න බලාගෙන වැඩට යනවා නෙමෙයි. As individual managers, we do not want people to suffer ill health or injury on our sites. අපි managers ලා හැටියට අපි ඔක්කොමලා ඉංජිනේරු මහතුරු as managers, we don't want people to suffer ill health or injury on our sites. Cost to the individual, the company, and to the country. හැම අනතුරකින්ම පුද්ගලයින්ට අනතුරක් සිදු වෙනවා මේකට වියදමක් දරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා කම්පැනි ඒ වගේම රටටත්. ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් කොස්ට් එකක් දරන්න වෙනවා. මොකද රක්ෂණය කළා නම් රක්ෂණ ගාස්තුව ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. Damage to product, material, plant and building, tools and equipment. අනතුරකදී හැමතිස්සෙම මේ නිෂ්පාදන අයිටම් එකට, ද්‍රව්‍ය වලට, ප්ලාන්ට් එකට, යන්ත්‍ර සූත්‍ර, ගොඩනැගිලි වලට, tools වලට, ඒ වගේම උපකරණ වලට, ආයුධ වලට, උපකරණ වලට, ඒවා economic reasons accident වලින්. Legal cost, නීති වියදම් යනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් නොයෙකුත් නීති ප්‍රශ්න ඇති වුනහම ඒවට වියදම් කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒවට කටයුතු කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. විශාල අනතුරකදී ඒ වගේ නීති වලට වියදම් කරන්න නීති ප්‍රශ්න වලට. Production delays. As you all know, there will be a delay in the production system. Continued. Again, economic reasons. Overtime working. Accident එකක් නිසා ඊට පස්සේ අතිකාල වැඩ කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඕක කවුරුත් දන්නවා. Overtime cost එකක්. Economic reasons. Investigation time. So we have to allocate some investigation officers to conduct the investigation and get a report how it happened and how it could be stopped, and we have to take some decisions under the investigation. Supervisor's time diverted. So supervisor's time is diverted because of the accident. Clerical effect. Loss of expertise, experience. Components of an accident. Pre-accident, the accident, and results of the accident. These are the three conditions. Principles of accident prevention. So the causes of accidents, then unsafe acts of persons and unsafe work conditions. These are the two main reasons for unsafe acts of persons, and unsafe work condition causes of accidents. Unsafe acts. Working without authority. Failure to warn others of a danger. අනතුරක් කියන එක අනිත් අයට අවවාද කරන්නේ නැතුව ඉන්නේ. Failure. Leaving equipment in a dangerous condition. These are unsafe acts. Misusing equipment, wrong speeds, etc. So we have to be very careful about the speed. You must have a thorough knowledge of the equipment before using the equipment. Disconnecting safety devices such as guards. So I mentioned under the section 17, 18, 19 on the ordinance. In earlier slides, I explained the safety devices. So these guards I mentioned. So disconnecting safety devices, those are the unsafe acts for accidents. Using non-defective equipment. Using equipment the wrong way or for wrong task. අපි ඔක්කොම අපි අතින් සිද්ධ වෙන්න පුළුවන් වැරදි. Failure to use or wear personal protective equipment. ආරක්ෂිත උපකරණ පැනඳින්නේ නැතුව වැඩ කටයුතු කරන එක. අනතුරක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් දේවල්. Bad loading of vehicles. Failure to lift loads correctly, mechanically and physically. වැරදි ආකාරයට බඩු ඔසවන ඒවා. Mechanically or physically. Being in an unauthorized place. අනවසර ස්ථානයන්හි වැඩ කටයුතු කිරීම. Unauthorized servicing and maintaining of moving equipment. Horseplay. Horseplay බොහෝ විට කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල තියෙනවා. වැඩ කරන සේවකයෝ අතර උසුළු විසුළු කරන එක, විහිළු කරනවා, ජෝක්ස් දානවා. ඉතින් ඒවත් හේතු වෙන්න පුළුවන් අපරීක්ෂාකාරීව විහිළු තහළු කිරීම. සේවකයන් අතර. Smoking in areas where it is prohibited. තහනම් කරපු ස්ථානවල ධූම්පානය කිරීමත් අපේ unsafe act එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Drinking alcohol or taking non-prescribed drugs. ඒකත් සමහර අවස්ථාවල සමහර කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. ඒ වගේ කාරණා තමයි unsafe acts එකට අනතුරු වලට හේතු වෙන මූලික කරුණු අපි මේවා දැනගෙන ඉන්න එක හොඳයි. ඊළඟට unsafe conditions. Inadequate or missing guards to machines. ඒකත් මම කලින් කිව්වා section 7 16 17 18 19 යටතේ යන්ත්‍ර සූත්‍ර වල ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන්. So inadequate or missing guards. යන්ත්‍ර සූත්‍ර වල ආරක්ෂාව ප්‍රමාණවත් නැහැ, එක්ක ඒවා නැහැ. Missing. Excessive heat or cold. අධික තාපය සහ අධික සීතල. Defective tools. ආයුධවල තියෙන වැරදි. ඒ කියන්නේ defective ඒවා. Fire hazards. ගින්නෙන් සිදුවන ඒවා. මේ ගිනි ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ ලෙක්චර් එකේ අගට කරනවා. Ineffective housekeeping. So this is also very important. So when we stack materials in a factory, there should be a correct way to handling of materials, raw materials and other things. So ineffective housekeeping means keeping all these material in haphazard way. So these conditions can be used to accidents. Hazardous atmosphere. Excessive noise level. Exposure to radiation. Inadequate illumination or ventilation. Those are unsafe conditions. Inadequate illumination or ventilation, etc. So what can we do to prevent accidents? This is very important. As engineers, we must take precautionary measures to avoid accidents. Principles of accident prevention. An essential first step. Risk assessment. So this is very important in a factory when you all are working as engineers in charge of factories and other working places. Risk assessment, we have to do it. Identify the hazards. Identify those who may be affected. Identify the risks. So under the accident prevention, these are the steps to be followed. Then eliminate risks or substitutes. Control the risks. Record and review. An essential second step. So risk assessment is the first step I mentioned in the previous slide. Now the second step in accident prevention, that is, what is the second step? Method statement. So we have to prepare the method statement considering the previous all operations requiring method statements must have them. All method statements must be approved. Method statements must be understood by the personnel undertaking the work. Method statements must be followed. So we have to identify the risk assessment, then we have to prepare the method statements. All operations requiring method statement. Then method statement must be approved by discussing among each other. Then statements must be understood by the personnel undertaking the work. Then statements must be followed. Then random checks made to ensure compliance. So random checks have to be done whether these instructions these workers are following or train them or give warnings to the people. So under the random checks, you have to do a lot of things. Safety inspections. What is the purpose of an inspection and who could do it? Safety inspections. Purpose. Ensure compliance with the law. With the law means it covers under the factories ordinance. There are so many conditions, so many clauses, so many regulations issued under various topics that I will explain later. So ensure the compliance with the law. Under the safety inspection, the inspecting officers should do these things. Ensure all are working safely within a safe place of work. Hazard spotting. Then safety inspections. Who could do it? Senior management. So you all are senior management people in organization as engineers. You have to do the safety inspections. Contractors management, safety advisors. In certain organizations, they get safety advisors from other organizations to look into the safety aspects. So contractors management, especially in construction sites. Enforce authorities. External consultants in other certain organizations, they get the services of external consultants specialized in various subjects. Insurance. Plant inspectors, etc. Safety inspections. Who could do it? You, as the engineers in charge of this work. So you all have to do the safety inspections. Accident prevention. There are 4 stages. In the diagram you can see information, then supervision, training, and instruction. So it's in a circular form. You get the information. You have to supervise the accident prevention activity. Then in certain cases, you have to provide training for the people and give instructions. Then again, after giving instructions, we have to check, supervise, and get again, are there any lapses in the accident prevention circle? So get again the information by supervision. Then if they have adequate, if they don't have adequate training, provide some training. So it's in a circle way. Accident reporting is also very important under the factories ordinance. It is indicated in various places. This reporting of accidents plays an important role in factories. Accident reporting comes under section 61. Of the Factories Ordinance, where any accident occurs in a factory which either causes loss of life to a person employed or disables any such person for more than 7 days from earning wages at the work. Disables any such person more than 7 days from earning wages at the work at which he was employed. Written notice of the accident in such form and accompanied by such particulars should be sent to the district factory inspecting engineer. So there are engineers appointed by the Department of Labor and in the factories division, district factory inspecting engineers. I will explain later. So written notice of the accident in such form and accompanied by such particulars, details of the accident to the district factory inspecting engineer. Form 10 has been introduced for this purpose. This Form 10 is a printed form that gives the various sections, or you have to fill that Form 10 in a factory. It all covers under the section 61. So when an accident occurs, so you have to fill the Form 10 and forward it to the Department of Labor. Accident reporting again. Prevention. Investigation. Trends. Costs. So by doing of accident reporting, so it helps us to prevent. Then it is investigating this accident, then trends. So you can stop the future occurrences of trends you can identify and cost of the accident. And in some cases, research how it happens right throughout the organization. So some sort of research activity can be done under this accident reporting. Enforcement. They ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් regulations හදන්න ඕන නම් අනත යටතේ regulation එකක් හදන්න පුළුවන් අවශ්‍ය නම්. Future legislation. අනාගතයේදී මේ legislation කරන්න පුළුවන්. Review of policies, procedures. You can review the policy of the organization or the procedures of the organization by doing accident reporting. So all these things, prevention, investigation, trends, costs, research, enforcement, future legislation, and review of policies. Accident book. This is very important. Every accident involving personal injury to an employee must be entered in an accident book by either the employee or someone acting on behalf of the employee. මේක බොහොම වැදගත් කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවක නැත්නම් කර්ම සයි වැඩබිමක ඇක්සිඩන්ට් එකක් වුණාම ඒකට ඇක්සිඩන්ට් බුක් කියලා පොතක් මේන්ටේන් කරන්න ඕන කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ආඥාපනතයට දෙන නීතියක්. ඒක මේන්ටේන් කරන්න ඕන හැම ඇක්සිඩන්ට් එකකින්ම විස්තර කොහොමද ඒක වුනේ මොකක්ද හේතුව ඒක වාර්තාවක් ඒ දිනේ එක්ක සටහන් කරන්න ඕන. The accident book must be kept accessible and its location known to all employees. හැමෝම දැනගන්න ඕනේ පොත කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. කාටවත් පොදු තැනක ඒක තියලා තියන්න ඕන. Notification of occupational diseases. Every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from a notifiable industrial disease should give written notice to the chief factory inspecting කර්මාන්ත ශාලා යටතේ තියෙනවා chief factory inspecting engineer ලා කර්මාන්ත ශාලා අංශේ ප්‍රධානියා. ඒ කියන්නේ මම පස්සේදී slide එකකදී විස්තර කරන්න. So every registered medical practitioner attending on a patient whom he believes to be suffering from notifiable industrial disease කාර්මික ආසාදනයක් ආබාධයක් ඇතිවෙච්ච කෙනෙක් should give written notice to the chief factory inspecting engineer ට දැනුවත් කරන්න ඕන. Inquest into deaths කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවක මරණයක් සිදු වුණාම වැඩබිමක අන්තරක් සිදු වුණාම inquirers of sudden deaths holding inquiries into deaths resulting from factory accidents or notifiable industrial diseases should ensure that a factory inspecting engineer is present at the inquiry to watch the proceedings. මරණ පරීක්ෂණයක් තියෙනකොට හදිසි මරණ පරීක්ෂකවරයා කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවක අනතුරක් වෙලා මරණ පරීක්ෂණයේ තියෙන වෙලාවේදී ඒ අදාළ ප්‍රදේශයේ බාර කර්මාන්ත ශාලා පරීක්ෂක ඉංජිනේරුවරයා පෙනී සිටින්න ඕන මේ මරණ පරීක්ෂණ වෙලාවේ සාක්ෂි දෙන්න කොහොමද මේ මරණය වුනේ ඒවා සටහන් කර ගන්නවා. ඒක බොහොම වැදගත් කාරණා. Notification of accidents. When any accident occurs in a factory which causes loss of life to person employed, disables any such person for more than 3 days from earning full wages. දවස් 3කට වඩා වැඩියෙන් එන්න බැරි නම් සේවයට ඒ වගේ කාරණාවලදී notification of accidents යටතේ කටයුතු කරන්න ඕනේ. Makes any such person unconscious due to heat, exhaustion, electric or inhalation of irrespirable gases or fumes. Written notice of the written notice of the accident should be sent forthwith to the district factory inspecting engineer. ඒ කර්මාන්තශාලා දිස්ත්‍රික් කර්මාන්තශාලා ඉංජිනේරුවරයාට දැනුම් දෙන්න ඕන මෙන්න මේ කාරණා සිද්ධ වුණාම. Then we will come to a new section, waste management. Today, Sri Lanka is facing the same problem of rapid industrialization and urbanization. කාර්මිකකරණය සහ නාගරීකරණය සහ විශාල ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා මේ waste management, both of which, if not adequately controlled, would lead to a pollution problem. This situation is further aggravated by the fact that Sri Lanka lacks the necessary financial resources for prevention of pollution. ඒක තමයි ඉතින් ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් තියෙන්නේ මේ ප්‍රතිපාදන නොමැතිවීම තමයි බොහෝ වෙලාවට මේ waste management වලට හරියට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ. In Sri Lanka, most industries, both small and large, discharge their waste to the general environment with little regard to the community at large. කුණු ටික පාරේ ගිහිල්ලා දානවා, නැත්නම් අපවිත්‍ර ද්‍රව්‍ය පාරේ ගිහිල්ලා දානවා, ගෙවල් ඉස්සරහා දානවා. ඔය විදිහේ අපි බොහොම වැරදි විදියට හැසිරෙනවා මේ අපේ waste දාන එක ගැන පරිසරයට. Industrial waste includes raw materials, discarded factory products, intermediate products, packaging materials, sludge from treatment plants, wastes from factory canteens, අන්න ඒක තමයි බොහොම වැදගත් වෙන්නේ, etc. And may exist in the form of gas, liquid or solid. වායුවක් හැටියට, ද්‍රවයක් හැටියට, or ඝන ද්‍රව්‍යයක් හැටියට, කාරණා තුනෙන් එකක් හැටියට තමයි මේ waste වෙන්නේ. ඉපද වෙන්නේ. We will now look at the various methods available for the purification treatment of air, water, and solids in industry. The first step in management of industrial waste is to minimize the generation of it. Processes could be altered or modernized to achieve this. The next step would be to substitute toxic raw material. Recovery of materials from wastes for reuse is another approach to be considered. One man's waste may be another's raw material. එක කට්ටියගේ waste එක සමහරවිට තව ආයතනයක raw material වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් කල්පනා කරලා වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න අපිට දැනගෙන හිටියොත් හොඳයි. Therefore, inter-industry coordination is desirable. කර්මාන්ත අතර අන්‍යෝන්‍ය සුහදතාවය, සහයෝගීතාවය උඩ ඒ වගේ වැඩ සාකච්ඡා කරලා කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Dry fabric dust collector. These probably form the largest single group of air cleaning devices in this field and are known variably as dust collector, bag filters, bag houses, etc. Basically, they all employ a fabric filter to arrest dust or fume. They are able to cope with heavy dust burdens and a wide range of particle sizes at high efficiency. A correctly rated fabric can achieve an overall efficiency of 99.8%. This average figure, this can be vary. The fabric dust collector must be self-cleaning, that is able to shed the dust burden collected by either manual or automatic activation of a cleaning mechanism and then continue to operate. Dry fabric පාවිච්චි කරලා dust collector කරලා ඒකත් එක විදියක් තමයි. මේ විදිහේ ක්‍රම ගොඩාක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයගලන්ට අත්දැකලා ඇති සමහරට මේකට වඩා වැඩියෙන්. මේක අදහසක් විතරයි. In most designs, the fabric filter is arranged as tubs, bags, or envelopes mounted on supporting frames so as to form a permeable division between clean and dirty sides. The පෙරහන් කඩයක් වගේ එකක් තමයි. The dust-laden air enters from below, passes upward through the fabric filter. වාහනවල air filter වගේ හිතන්න පුළුවන්. And the clean air leaves via the discharge dust at the top. The dust, which could be shaken off, collects at the bottom. The common cleaning system in an intermittently functioning mechanical device which vigorously shakes the top of the filter bags. Different fabrics such as cotton, wool, nylon, and ethylene are used depending on the properties of the dust or fume. Wet collector. The basic principle of the wet collector is to bring the contaminant into an intimate contact with water so that it is more rapidly extracted from the airstream and is absorbed directly into a water mass. Wet collectors are able to deal with both particulate and gaseous contaminants and with hot or corrosive air streams. The two common wet collectors in use are the Venturi Scrubber and the self-induced spray wet collector. There are so many examples. This is one example. Then water wastage. Every workplace discharges a certain volume of effluent water out of the premises. Some industries may discharge relatively harmless effluent where, as in some cases, it may contain highly toxic chemicals. මෙන්න මේක තමයි පරිස්සමෙන් අපි handle කරන්න ඕන. There are a large number of physical and chemical methods available for the treatment of effluent water. Sedimentation. The principle of density difference is used here for gravity settling. This method is cheap and commonly used in Sri Lanka. The effluent water is collected in a settling tank and solute particles settle at the bottom, leaving the clear liquid at the top. කොහොම වැඩි වශයෙන් භාවිත වෙන අවස්ථාවක් පහළට යනවා ඔක්කොම settling tank එකේ solute particle at the bottom, leaving clear liquid at the top. The sludge which builds up at the base has to be removed regularly and further treated if necessary before disposal. Flotation. In the process of substances which floats to the top of the settling tank are removed using a skimming apparatus. An example is grease in water. For particles which do not readily float, the dissolved air flotation method may be used. In this method, the tank containing wastewater is pressurized. After sufficient time is allowed for air to dissolve, the pressure is released and the air now comes out of the solution. Filtration. This is a process in which separation of the pollutant is accomplished by the size difference of the particles. The effluent water is forced through a porous medium with resultant retention of particles in the medium. Particles size එක අනුව filtration එක සිද්ධ වෙනවා. Three types of media that could be used are beds, sands, and asbestos, mesh, screen, fabric, perforated surfaces, certain membranes. Solids, Ganapadragya. Solid waste in industry may consist of unused raw materials, damaged final products, byproducts, packaging materials, left over food, etc. මේක තමයි බොහොම වැඩි වශයෙන් සිද්ධ වෙන බොහෝ ආයතනවලදී. Minimizing the generation of such waste should be the first line of action. Incineration, an ancient disposal technique for getting rid of waste, is to burn it. Incineration, while solving one problem, creates the others. They are air pollution due to smoke and unburned remains. Unburned remains which have to be disposed of by another means. ඒ ඝන අපද්‍රව්‍ය ගිනි තියලා විනාශ කරන එකේ වෙන දෙයක්. Incineration. Landfill, ගොඩ කිරීම, ඉඩම් ගොඩ. This is also a very ancient means of disposing of solid waste. The solid waste is spread layers and then compacted with bulldozers before another layer is spread. After the waste is about 3 meters deep, it is covered by a layer and compacted again. In a තව section එකක් අපි බලමු fire ගිනි ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා. Fire is the result of a combination in suitable proportions of a fuel, oxygen, and an initial source of heat. ඉන්ධන, oxygen සහ initial source of heat, තාපය. This combination is a chemical reaction in which a heated substance combines with oxygen to produce heat, light, smoke, and toxic gases. The reaction involves both heat consumption and heat production, with a net production of heat. Products of combustions. The application of heat to solids and liquids produces vapors at their surfaces, which ultimately mix with air to cause a fire. During combustion, in addition to the heat, new molecules are also formed. These are called the products of combustion. Complete combustion can occur in a very hot, well-ventilated fire. In this situation, carbon dioxide and steam are formed from the oxidation of carbon and hydrogen, respectively. Oxides of various other elements such as sulfur and nitrogen are also formed. Toxic substances can also be produced in some fires. Hydrogen cyanide can be formed from burning of wool and silk. Acetic acid from timber and paper, and carbon monoxide from incomplete combustion of carbonaceous material. Ignition sources. Heat is one of the three factors necessary for combustion. It is readily available in industry from various ignition sources such as electrical apparatus and wiring, sources of static electricity, machinery, grinding, welding and cutting processes, heating and cooking process, matches and lighters, cigarettes. Control measures. Fire protection has to be planned at the design stage of buildings in taking into consideration the risks involved in the manufacturing process. කර්මාන්ත ශාලා පටන් ගන්නකොටම planning stage එකේදී පටන් අවබෝධ කරගන්න අපි අවධානය යොමු කරන fire protection ගැන. High risks areas should be protected with fire resistant walls so as to prevent the rapid spread of fires. Fire resistant walls කියලා තියන්න ඕන අවශ්‍ය අවස්ථාවලදී. Fire resistant doors should be also provided for these areas to isolate them in case of major fires, where appropriate inbuilt systems for detecting, controlling, and extinguishing fires would be provided. Fixed automatic devices are available to extinguish fire. Fire extinguishers. These operate automatically in case of fire and sprinkle water or other extinguishing agents. Safe escape routes should be provided, and these should be maintained free of obstruction. Escape routes පැහැදිලිව තියෙන්න ඕන, obstructions තියෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්න. විශේෂයෙන් මේ fire doors එළියට ඇරෙන්න ඕන, ඇතුළට ඇරෙන්න බෑ. මොකද ඇතුලේ fire එකක් වුණාම මිනිස්සු දොරවල් තල්ලු කරගෙන එළියට යන්නේ. Free of obstruction. Doors should open outwards to enable easy exit in case of fire. In case of fire. There should be good access routes around the building to assist the fire brigade, and hydrants and other facilities for firefighting should be provided. It is desirable to install fire alarm systems in factories, and all workers should be trained in evacuation procedures by conducting fire drills regularly. කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල මේ fire drills regularly කරනවා. මාස 6කට සැරයක් නැත්නම් 3කට සැරයක්. Fire alarms වැඩ කරනවාද? ඒ fire දොරවල් ඔක්කොම ඇරෙනවාද? outside ඒව ගැන බලලා ඒ බාධක ඔක්කොම ඉවත් කරලා ඒ වගේ කරන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. Preventive measures should be considered after a thorough study of the process materials and likely ignition sources. This involves the identification of specific hazard areas, selection and provision of appropriated first aid firefighting equipment, and the training of workers employed in these areas to use the equipment correctly. It is also important to establish good housekeeping practices such as proper disposal of waste. Disposal of waste, regular cleaning of machinery, භූමිය, floor එක, and walls, and the proper storage of material handling. Regular inspections to ensure that safety procedures are adhered. ඊළඟ topic එක ගමු, safety in electricity. Electricity is inherently dangerous, and like unguarded machinery, fire, steam, etc., has to be treated with respect. These are the causes of electrical accidents. The causes of electrical accident may broadly be classified under 3 headings. What are the 3 headings? Number 1, defective design or construction of apparatus. Failure of apparatus due to inefficient maintenance. Misuse or maloperation of sound apparatus due to failure of personnel or management or misapplication. All these things, you are engineers, you must know all these things. An analysis of the causes of electrical accidents gave following figures. Various research, they indicate these figures, but this can be vary from time to time. Usually, it gives like this: defects in design or material, 16% of the electrical accidents happen. Sound apparatus ill-maintained, 9%. Unknown causes 5%. Taking unnecessary risks or failing to utilize the means provide for safety. So that is the most important part. Taking unnecessary risks. ගන්න නරකයි අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් අනවශ්‍ය risk එක or failing to utilize the means provided for safety. ඒ ආරක්ෂක විධිවිධාන පිළිපැදීමට තියෙන බැරි අතපසුවීම බැරිවීම නිසා 70%ක් වගේ ගාණක් වෙලා තියෙනවා මේක මේ කලින් කාලට වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නමුත් මෑතකදී කරපු පරීක්ෂණ අනුව මෙන්න මේ ෆිගර්ස් පෙන්නලා තියෙනවා. Personal failure. Accidental slipping of a screwdriver can create a flash. ස්ක්‍රූ පුනියනක් පැටිච් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. වයර් දෙකක් ගෑවිලා මොකක් හරි අනතුරක් විශාල වෙනතුරක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ personally අපිට වෙන අකරතැබ්බයක් නිසා. Management too can contribute to these errors by wrong selection of or application of apparatus, failure to provide safe conditions for maintenance, poor selection of staff, overloading the system එක overload වෙලා වැඩ කරන එක, lack of supervision, පරීක්ෂණ කරන්නේ supervise කිරීමේ අඩුපාඩු, lack of proper training of equipment, උපකරණ වලට නිසි පරිදි පුහුණුව ලබා නොදීම. Hazards of electricity. The dangers to be considered in the use of electricity are two types. Number one, personal injury and damage to property. Personal injury කියන එක ආයි කොටස් තුනකට තියෙනවා. Personal injuries may be caused by number one, electric shock, කවුරුත් දන්නවා. Electric burn, විදුලි අනතුරකින් පිළිස්සෙන්න පුළුවන්. Arc eye, ඇස් දුර්වලතාවයක් ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Electric shock, falls from roof, cuts, dropping of tools, injury from damage to nerve issue, death from fibrillation of the heart, death due to asphyxiation, physical injury from violent muscular contraction. හෘදය වස්තුව කම්පනය වෙනස් වෙලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේමයි මරණය muscles හිරවිලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Electric burns, විදුලි පිලිස්සුම් කොහොමද? Generally speaking, an electrical burn penetrates deeply and may take long time healing. Through the appearance of superficial damage may be slight. Direct current burns tend to be more acute than AC burns due to the fact that the DC arc is more persistent than the AC arc, which latter tends to extinguish more easily at the moment when current passes through 0 volts. Burns are invariably associated with physical shock, and great care is necessary in their treatment. Arc eye. This is caused by ultraviolet rays from an electric arc. Arc welding කරනකොට වෙන දේවල් කවුරුත් දන්නවා ඉංජිනේරු වරු හැටියට ඔයගොල්ලෝ reaching unprotected eyes. The condition is very painful, causing temporary loss of sight. පෙනීම දුර්වල වෙනවා තාවකාලික. The victim feels as if there are sand particles in the eye. The only way in which the arc eye can be prevented is to wear eye protection of the correct type and to do welding in screened off areas. Electrical safety. So far, we have been considering the dangers associated with the use of electricity. There are a few principles which, if followed, will make electricity a good servant, not a bad master. The principles used in making electrical conductors safe are to guard them electrically and mechanically, to make them inaccessible, to install, operate, and maintain them in proper manner, to make them dead, to energize them at low voltage. මේක ගැන ඊළඟ slide එකේ විස්තර කරනවා. To guard them electrically and mechanically means electrical guarding is achieved by covering the conductor with an insulator such as rubber, plastic, oil, impregnated paper, linen, glass, or porcelain, you all know, porcelain, etc. Mechanical guarding of the insulated conductor is done in various ways, and can be in the form of soft metal tubes extruded over the insulated conductor, or fixed tubes through which the insulated wires were drawn, or in the form of steel armored wires or tapes. To make them inaccessible, bare conductors may be fixed on porcelain or other insulators, which in turn can be supported above. To install, operate, and maintain in proper manner, the circuits and apparatus must be designed, erected, and maintained by qualified and competent persons in conformity with the best current practices, and that the operators are trained in their work. To make them dead. What do you mean by dead? This is done by using circuit breakers or isolating switches. So you have to provide circuit breakers or isolating switches in the circuit. So conductors may also be made dead automatically on the occasion of a fault by means of fuses or circuit breakers. So automatically the circuit is switched off. That is why we call them to make them dead. To energize at low voltage. If the voltage is reduced, then the current also gets reduced. In the case of portable electric equipment, work in confined places, it is better to use low voltage. Now we come to another section. Safety in construction industry. So construction industry safety is also very important. Construction sites can be divided into two categories, as mentioned 1 and 2, buildings, houses, hotels, schools, factories. Civil engineering sites, roads, dams, bridges, and power stations. It is observed that occur more accidents in construction sites when compared to factories due to following reasons. More accidents in construction sites. Frequent change of work sites. So from time to time, work sites are changed. So taking people from one place to another place. Lack of disciplinary control, lack of planning. Subcontracting of work. You all know that the main contractor who gets the job, he will subcontract other people from other small organizations. They do not give much attention to safety rules. Lack of allocating funds for safety equipment. So when they shift places from one place to another, they are not worried about the safety equipment. So they are not giving sufficient funds for safety equipment. Engage unskilled workers for low wages. That is very common in all construction sites in Sri Lanka. Unskilled workers for low wages. Lack of proper coordination among different categories of work groups. In construction sites, so many work groups are doing work, barbenders, masons, carpenters, electricians, etc. So there is no proper coordination among these people to face different weather conditions, rain and sunshine. Safety procedures implementation. To prepare a comprehensive work plan at the beginning of work in the construction site with the help of architects, design engineers, site engineers, technical officers, site supervisors, etc. Number 2, safety precautions to prevent collapsing of walls during excavation of soil. පස් කඩාගෙන වැටෙන්න පුළුවන් පස් කපනකොට. To provide sufficient air in deep excavation. Safety precautions should be introduced in scaffolding work in high-rise buildings. This is also very important. So contractors, sometimes they provide sufficient scaffolding work for high-rise buildings. To maintain hoists, chains, ropes, and other lifting equipment regularly. And as I mentioned earlier, so these hoist chains, ropes, you have to check periodically. Inspection of such items should be done periodically. Attention should be given for safety precautions in roof construction. Proper methods should be adopted in material handling and storage of materials such as steel, pipes, cement, sanitary equipment, etc. Laying electrical cables, especially in temporary sheds in work sites, should be carefully done. But this is also very important. Normally, electric cable wiring in temporary sheds, they are not worried about the safety matters. Handling of explosive materials in road construction sites, underground tunnel and construction sites. Special attention should be given to fire safety. Then another section, health and welfare. Cleanliness. Every factory should be kept clean and free from effluvia. Workspace. Every person working in a factory should be allowed at least 400 cubic feet of free space. This is very important. Every person has to work under this capacity, free space, 400 cubic feet. In calculating this free space, space above 14 from the floor should be no space above 14 feet from the floor should be taken into consideration. වර්ග ප්‍රමාණය බලලා වර්ග ප්‍රමාණයයි උස ගණනකොට අඩි 14ට වඩා වැඩියෙන් තියෙන ඉඩ ගන්න එපා. ඒක නිසා වර්ග ප්‍රමාණය බලලා take the area of the place multiplied by 14 feet, get the volume of that place divided by the number of people working in that particular place. ඒ ප්‍රමාණය ඇතුළත කොච්චර බැලුවහම එක්කෙනෙකුට අඩු ගානේ වර්ග ඝන අඩි 400ක්වත් තියෙනවා. ඒක very important. ඝන අඩි 400ක් කියනකොට සමහර කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල වර්ග ප්‍රමාණයයි අර උඩට 14ක් අරගෙන ඝන අඩි ප්‍රමාණය බලලා සේවක සංඛ්‍යාවෙන් බෙදුවහම 400 වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ compact sites තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම වෙන්න බෑ. Sanitary conveniences ඒකත් වැදගත් කාරණාවක්. Sanitary conveniences should be provided and maintained in all factories as follows. මෙන්න මේ ගානට තියෙන for up to 100 persons. 100ක් දක්වා 1 for every 25 persons. එතකොට 25 දෙනෙකුටම එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. 100කට නම් වැසිකිලි 4ක් තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ 4 මෙහෙමයි පිරිමින්ට වෙනමයි ගෑනු අයට වෙනමයි. එතකොට from 100 to 500%. එතන 100 ඉඳලා 500 දක්වා එතන 400ක් තියෙනවා. 100 ඉඳලා 500ට every 40 persons 40කට එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට 400ට නම් කීයක් තියෙන්න ඕනද? 10ක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. 100ට වැඩි ඉන්න ගාන. 100ට වැඩි ඉන්න 400ට තියෙන තව 40කට එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ 40න් බෙදුවම 10ක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. 100 දක්වා 25කට එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අරකට 40කට එකක්. Over 500 people, one for every 60. 500ට වැඩි නම් 500ට වැඩි නම් ඉන ගානට ඒ වැඩි වෙච්ච ගානට හැම 60කටම එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. 560ට එකයි ඊළඟට තවත් 60ක් ගත්තාම තව එකයි තවත් 60ක් ගත්තාම ඒ විදිහට හැම 60කටම එකක් තියෙනවා. මේක තමයි sanitary conveniences නීතිය අනුව. Separate facilities should be provided for male and female, that you all know. Wholesome drinking water should be provided to workers, except when water is delivered from an upward jet. Cups or drinking vessels should be provided at each point of supply along with facilities for rinsing them. Adequate and suitable accommodation should be provided for clothing, not worn during the working hours. තමුන් ගෙදරින් ඇඳගෙන එන ඇඳුම මාරු කරලා වැඩ කරනවා. ඒකට වෙන වෙනම accommodation තියෙන්න ඕන ඇඳුම් මාරු කරගන්න. Female workers should be provided with facilities for resting to enable them to rest during the course of their employment. ඒක නම් ඉතින් කාන්තාවට විතරක් නෙමෙයි පිරිමි අයටත් resting facilities දෙන්න ඕන කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල. First aid. Every factory should have a first aid box or cupboard contents as specified in the regulations. See Annexure 1 එක මෙතන නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ඉංජිනේරුවරයෙකුන් ඒ regulations ටික මේ ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ මොනවද තියෙන්න ඕන කියලා specify කරලා තියෙනවා. Trained first aiders on every work shift. First aiders train කරන්න ඕනේ හැම shift එකටම. පළපුරුදු කීප දෙනෙක් කොහොමද first aid දෙන්නේ කියලා. It is important to ensure that a sufficient number of workers are trained in first aid. Meal rooms. කෑම කරන පහසුකම්. Meal rooms which could accommodate at least 30% of the total workshop. සම්පූර්ණ සේවක සංඛ්‍යාවෙන් 130කට එක සැරේ වාඩි වෙලා කන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න at any one time should be provided. එතකොට 100කට 130ක් වැඩ කරනවා නම් එකපාරකට 30කට 33කට 30% කෑම ගන්න පුළුවන් තැනක් තියෙන්න ඕන. When in any room lead, arsenic or other poisonous substances is used, no person should be permitted to partake for food or drink or to remain in such room during intervals allowed for meals or rest. Lead, arsenic, තවත් විස ද්‍රව්‍ය පාවිච්චි කරන ඒ තැන්වල කෑම ගන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න බෑ. එක්ක වතුර බොන්න මොනවාක්වත් කරන්න ඒ තැන්වල ඉඩ දෙන්න තහනම්. Notification of occupational diseases. Every registered medical practitioner is attending on a patient from whom he believes be suffering from notifiable industrial disease should be give written notice to the chief factory inspecting engineer. I think I have mentioned this in an earlier slide also. Occupational diseases තියෙනවා ඒක chief factory inspecting engineer ට වාර්තා කරන්න ඕන. This is very important. There shall be kept in every factory or in such place outside the factory may be approved by the factory inspecting engineer a register called a general register. The following details have to be entered. There should be a register called general register. පොදු ලේඛනයක් තියෙන්න ඕන කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවල. ඒක approve කරන්න ඕන factory inspecting engineer. ඒ අදාළ පළාතේ ඉන්න engineer මහත්මයා මගින් මෙන්න මේවා enter කරලා තියෙන්න ඕන. The following details have to be entered. All reports and particulars required by the provisions of the factory's ordinance to be entered in or attached. ඒ කියන ලේඛන ඇතුළත් කරලා තියෙනවා. Details of accidents and industrial diseases occurring in the factory, of which notice is required to be sent to the Labour Department. අර ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේ ලේඛන තියන්න ඕන කියලා ඒ ලේඛන ඇතුළත් කරලා තියෙන මේ general register එකේ. Young persons employed in the factory. කර්මාන්ත ශාලාව වැඩ කරන තරුණ සේවක පිරිසකගේ තොරතුරු. Such particulars as may be prescribed as to the washing, whitewashing or color washing, painting or varnishing of the factory. කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවේ තීන්තා ලේපන කටයුතු, සේදීමේ කටයුතු, color wash කරන ඒවා, painting කරන ඒවා, varnishing ඒ ඔක්කොම විස්තර ඒ general register එකේ ඇතුළත් කරලා තියෙන්න ඕන. මොකද වරින් වර ඒ ඉංජිනේරු මහත්තුරු ආවහම ඒවා බලනවා. Factories division of the Department of Labor මං කිව්වේ මං අන්තිමටම කියන්නම් කියලා මෙන්න මේ කර්මාන්ත ශාලා අංශය Department of Labor කම්කරු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව යටතේ වෙනම ඩිවිෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා. මම හිතන්නේ හුඟක් වෙලාවට ඒක ගැන අවබෝධය නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් බොහෝ විට මේ දැනුවත් කරනවා. කර්මාන්ත ශාලා අංශය කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. Factories division කර්මකරු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව යටතේ මේ නීතිය කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ආඥාපනත ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්. Enforcement of the factories ordinance to ensure safety දැන් මම මේ දක්වා කතා කරා safety health of welfare of workers in factories through following activities. Enforcement and implementation of the factories ordinance ඒ කර්මාන්ත ශාලා ආඥාපනත ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම, inspection of factories කර්මාන්ත ශාලා පරීක්ෂා කළ බැලීම, approval of building plans කර්මාන්ත ශාලා පටන් ගන්න ඉස්සර වෙලා කම්කරු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ plan එක අනුමත කරගන්න ඕන. Attend corners court to give expert evidence ඒ කියන්නේ මරණ පරීක්ෂණවලදී corners court කියන්නේ මරණ පරීක්ෂණේ ඒවට සාක්ෂි දීමට සහභාගී වෙන්න ඕන. Investigation of complaints, investigation of accidents, institute legal actions නීති ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම, conduct safety awareness programs to prevent accidents ඒක තමයි ඉතාමත් වැදගත් කාරණාවක්. safety awareness programs ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම, analysis of accidents කර්මාන්ත ශාලා විශ්ලේෂණය කිරීම, appointment of authorized officers මං කිව්වේ ඒ බලයලත් නිලධාරීන් පත් කරනවා කලින් කලට පළපුරුදු තියෙන ඉංජිනේරු හැටියට ඔයගලන්ටත් එතෙන්ට එන්න පුළුවන්. authorized officer කෙනෙක්ට පත් වීම ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. තමුගේ අත්දැකීම පළපුරුද්ද අනුව අවුරුදු ගාණක් වැඩ කරාට පස්සේ issue of certificates under the factories ordinance අවශ්‍ය කරන සහතික නිකුත් කිරීම, making of safety posters, leaflets, short films etc. ඒ කියන කාරණා සිද්ධ කරනු ලබනවා. The other important activities, advisory services for improvement of work environment in factories, participation in national committees with regard to the occupational safety and health වරින් වර ජාතික කමිටු පත් කරනවා කම්කරු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව නැත්නම් රජය මගින් අමාත්‍යාංශ මගින් අන්න ඒවට සහභාගී වෙන්න. safety auditing කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. Preparation of curriculum on safety, health and welfare for educational institutions අධ්‍යාපන ආයතන such as construction industry development authority SIDA, NITA ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority, NIBM National Institute of Business Management, NIPM National Institute of Plantation Management, තව curriculum හදනවා Vocational Training Authority එක. ඒ වගේ මම කලින් වැඩ කරපු ආයතනයේ Tertiary Vocational Education Commission එක. ඒ විදිහේ විවිධ ආයතනවල විෂය මාලාව හරිගස්සනකොට කාර්මික ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඒ කොමිටිස් වලට උදව් කරනවා සහභාගී වෙනවා. Existing legislation factories ordinance මම කලින්ම කිව්ව මුලදීම number 45 of 1942 amendments තියෙනවා මම කීපයක් amendments කරලා තියෙනවා. මම 1යි 2යි කිව්ව ඉස්සෙල්ලා පටන් ගන්නකොට factories amendment එක තිබුණා 1946 number 22 amendment act එක number 54 of 1961 amendment law එක number law 12 of 1976 amendment act එක number 18 of 1998 amendment act එක number 33 2000 act number 19 2002 මේ ඔක්කොම බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙබ් එකට ගියම Department of Labor ගිහිල්ලා factories ordinance factories division එකට ගියහම ඒකේ යටතේ මේ ඔක්කොම විග්‍රහ කරලා තිනවා මේ වෙබ්සයිට් එකකින් බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඩීටේල්. ඒ වගේමයි මේ මම කිව්වේ අර regulations වරින් වර නිකුත් කරපුවා. factories ordinance එකට නීති රීති රෙගුලාසි නම් එක එක ඒවා number 1 1960 නම් I 1965 sanitary conveniences, dangerous occurrences, regulation ඒ regulasi 55,000 මේවත් ඔක්කොම වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. Factories, washing facilities, general standards of lighting, ආලෝකය කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ කියලා 1965. Meal rooms අර මං කිව්වේ කෑම කාමර විස්තර මම ওই කෙටියෙන් කිව්වේ අද ලෙක්චර් එකේ 1965. Steam boiler attendance certification අර මං ටිකක් කිව්වා. ඒකේ detailed regulation බලන්න පුළුවන්. Notifiable industrial diseases regulations 72 වල 79 වල protection of ice as ආරක්ෂා කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් තව මීට වඩා ඇති ගොඩක් කීපයක් මම දන්නේ මෑත කාලේ කරපුවා factories first aid regulations අර මං කිව්වේ ඒක බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙබ් එකට ගිහිල්ලා leaflets on first aid ඔය ආදී වශයෙන් ගොඩක් so you can see get lot of details by going through the websites. Yeah, so I will finish my lecture now. It took nearly 2 hours. Thank you very much for you all to listen to my lecture. And contact details for any clarification. This is my email address, ayodhya42@gmail.com. This is my mobile number. You can note it down. So you can go through the slides, and I will send this PowerPoint presentation to the IESL office. So they tomorrow or day after. So they will publish in the YouTube, I think. So anyway, you can ask them in the IESL office. They will put it in the YouTube, I think. So you can go through the slides. So at the beginning, I told you that you don't have to copy it, or it will be in the web. So you can go through it again. If you have any questions, at any time you can call this number, or you can send an email to me for any clarification. And මේකේ මේ ප්‍රශ්න මේ කරපු හෑන්ඩ් අවුට් එකෙන්ම විතරයි හදන්නේ වෙන කිසිම දෙයක් ප්‍රයෝගී කරගන්න. ඒක හන්ද හෑන්ඩ් අවුට් එක හොඳට කියවලා බලන්න විභාගෙට ඉස්සරලා. එහෙනම් මේ thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Leave.